jewelry makers. My name is Joey Balistreri. Welcome to my work table. I got my curated bead box for the month of November, and it is entitled In the Jungle. So I'm going to do a super fast unboxing because this month's box is really good, and I've already designed 2 projects and I'm going to make them in this video. So let's jump right in to what is in the box. If you are not familiar with the curated bead box, just quickly, I will tell you that it is a value box, very inexpensive. You always get super long strands of beads, some unique metal findings, which is the case this month, and you get a findings pack. This month it is in gold. It includes bead stringing wire, stretch cord, memory wire, head pins, crimp beads, a little bit of everything, lobster claw, jump rings. So if you're new to jewelry making and you just want to try some different stringing possibilities and you're just practicing, this is fabulous. And if you're not new like me, I've been making jewelry for decades. I still love adding to my stash, and I love getting sort of a kit that when I'm designing, everything is right here. So this month's findings pack is in gold, and I am going to use a few things from it. And also the other thing is the curated bead box will sometimes substitute either the sizes or the beads just based on availability, but you always get the same amount of items that's on the little thumbnail, and you can go on the website and buy more of anything that you like in the box. And I think I only have maybe 1 substitution this month, but I'm going to go through this really quickly, and this is your bad joke for the day. Let's address the elephant in the room. I absolutely love the pendant that came in the box. I love elephants. I'm an animal lover, period, but I love elephants, and I love scrolly, filigree things in my jewelry design, and this is the best of both worlds. He is so ornate and so dimensional, and I just love him. And I just want to say right away that when I got him out, I've already designed a project with him, not a necklace, which, you know, I don't think you'd really want to do him as a bracelet charm, but I want him to stay this beautiful shiny gold color. It has a little bit of a black wash on it to make it look like an antique gold. So I took my Permalac coating, I used the semi-gloss, and I brushed the front, let it dry, and brushed the back of this little guy because I want him to stay shiny for a really long time. So I have already done that. I can link that product in the description box below this video, and I will also put a link if you're new to Curated Bead Box with my discount code, so you can get a discount from your first box. And it's a really fun box. It's curated, and you get nice long strands, and there is even a gemstone bead in this box. So the other thing that I'll just show you really quickly, because everyone's will look a little bit different, there is a bead mix in this box, which is something they've been doing pretty regularly. It's called the Savannah Glass Bead Mix. There's approximately 1 ounce of beads. So like in mine this month, I got these gorgeous silver bicones that are a bit oversized, and I love that in the curated bead box a lot of the crystals and beads have larger holes, which I love to string on Brazilian waxed cord, but it gives you the possibilities for bringing in leather or other things when you have large holes. And then there's some beautiful, almost like the back is like a chaton, and they're faceted crystals, but the drill hole goes side to side. And it's just so fun. I can dive into a bead mix and get totally lost. And in this one, like for me, there's 2s and 4s of so many of the crystals. So you can like sit and do a lot of earrings. That's really fun with a bead mix. So I'm going to just set that aside, and we got 2 strands of glass pearls this month. They are 10 millimeter. They're both 8-inch long. One is called soft gold and one is called soft green. And they have a really nice weight to them. I absolutely love the gold one. It is beautiful. And then this is awesome. This is a 10 millimeter brown spot marble style glass bead, and it also has a little bit of a larger hole. It's not a large hole bead, but you could really string with different possibilities. I love this little Dalmatian dot bead. It's so pretty. And then I am a fan of crackle glass, and this is amazing. We got an 8 millimeter light brown crackle glass. That's a tongue twister. But look, guys, it's 16 inches long. I mean, that's a necklace in itself with a few spacers, and I just love it. It's beautiful. There's a few on my strand that are like almost barrel shaped, which, you know, you might consider misshapen, but I'm going to cut this open, and I think I'm going to harvest that one, for my project, for my first project. So I was thrilled to get those. And then love, we got a 6mm green glass crackle strand, and again a 16-inch length of this. Look how gorgeous. I love crackle glass. If you look in there, it just gives it a little flash, a little dimension, you know. It's just so pretty, and I just love it in a project. It's so gorgeous. And then the next one up is a 6mm khaki red swirl marble glass bead, and we got a 10-inch strand of this. So that is wonderful. I love that. I think this might be going in my first project. I'm debating between this and this. As soon as I show you everything, I'm going to just pause, clean up, and cut those open, and I'll, you know, show you what I'm deciding on. And then I am dying over this. This is one of my favorite things in this box. This is a 6mm black onyx gemstone bead, and we got a full 10-inch strand of this, and it is just wonderful. It has a really nice size hole. I think you could literally string 6 or 8 strands of Brazilian wax cord through it if you want to do a multi-strand where you've got a lot of bead stringing wire going through it. You have the holes for that, and it is satiny. It's not frosted, but it's really smooth, matte, and this just amazing. I love this black onyx bead. So gorgeous, and what a nice long strand. This is another fave in this box. We got 3 of these 16mm black onyx gemstone beads. They feel so good. I mean, gemstones feel great against your skin, but these have such a nice weight to them. I just love them. And I think one of those is going to go in my second project with my elephant. That's my plan. And then these are super cool. We got 6mm, a 10 by 6mm gold metal spacer bead, and aren't they awesome? I just love anything that is elongated, cylindrical. I love that type of geometry in my jewelry making. Those are so cool. And then here's where I have a little discrepancy. I don't know if it's a typo on my thumbnail. It says 6mm gold metal bead caps, and then it says that again. So obviously I have the beautiful little bead caps, and I love these. I do have these, but I'm not sad to have more. But then I got these cool large hole spacer beads with they're dotted around the edge. So I don't know if it's a typo or if some of you would have gotten double bead caps. Not really sure, but I'm thrilled with what I got. I absolutely love it. So that is our box. I showed you the findings pack, and I'm going to clean up and come back and do my first project. And so for my first project, I'm going to do a necklace, and I'm going to create my own pendant, and I will be using the bead stringing from the findings pack. But for my second project with my elephant and one of these onyx beads, I'm going to be stringing on my Soft Flex 49 strand medium bead stringing wire. It is my favorite. I really love it. I'm using the red jasper color, and I'm going to pull in a little bit different colorways than what was in the box for my second project. And also I have pulled from my stash, look at this, you guys. I got some seed beads on clearance at my local craft store, and I love the colors. Look at this, matches the crackle glass bead almost perfectly. And then this silver lined gold seed bead, 12-0, they're very inexpensive, so they're all like, they're not uniform, so you really wouldn't want to use this for a beaded bead or a seed bead weaving project, but it is beautiful with the gold findings in this box. So I think I'm going to use this in my stringing of my first project. And then this is my autumn berries little seed bead mix that I'm going to use for my elephant project. So as I said, I got really excited when I got my box, and as I was setting up to share this with you, I already designed my pieces. So it'll just be a second for you. I'm going to pause and come back and get to work. We're going to make the pendant for the necklace first, and what I have done is taken a jump ring and just 3 lengths of chain from my stash, and I didn't even measure. I just eyeballed it and said that's the length that I like, and I strung the end lengths on that jump ring, and so that is ready to go. And then here's what the little drops are going to look like. I used everything from the box, one of these little flat head pins, and I took, as you can see, I chose my strand of crackle glass. Is just beautiful, and but I literally had 3 beads that were not perfectly round. They're like shaped like a barrel, and I love that. So I did that, and I threaded on one of the bead caps facing down, and then one of those onyx beads. And then because these onyx beads do have a pretty big hole, I just put one of my little seed beads that I'm going to be using in my stringing, and it just kind of finishes off that look. And then you can definitely make your simple loops with your pliers, but these head pins are they're very sturdy. It's a thicker gauge of wire, so I'm going to put it in my 1-step looper. I'm using the 1.5 millimeter through the guide hole in the back, and I'm just going to push my seed bead right up so it's just not quite touching that front jaw of the tool, and I'm just going to go very slowly. I can watch it make a nice blunt cut, so I have a pretty end to my head pin. And then I'm maintaining control. I'm not popping this closed. I want to make sure I don't crush that little seed bead. So get everything out of the way, slowly close, pull that down, and finish my loop. And now I can see my loop is centered on my little stack of beads, and when I take it off the tool, I have a beautiful, perfect, simple loop. And I am going to open them. That's the point of a simple loop. So I'll get a chance to kind of work hard in it and tidy it up. But I'm just going to come to the bottom link of my chain and add that little drop right on. So this is going to be kind of, I didn't know what to call this, kind of a cross between a mini tassel and a little bit of fringiness. I just like the swing and the idea of some of my beads that are going to appear in the body of my necklace kind of hanging from chain. I don't know, just literally I was laying in bed last night after I opened my box and thought that's what I'm going to do. I don't know why. Okay, last one. So pretty. Oh, I love that. Okay, so that part of the pendant is done, and now I'm going to take a piece of 20 gauge wire. I love the Softflex company's wire, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, but this time there's no beads on it. I'm going to put it in my 1-step looper, but this time I don't have to go all the way through the guide hole because the 1-step looper makes a fresh cut for you, so you'd just be wasting like ½ an inch of wire. And you can skip the fresh cut part with your cutters because the tool does it for you. You know, it's always nice to clean up your wire when you're about to make loops. And then I do that same thing, just pull it down so my loop is centered on the wire. And while my tool is holding onto it, I can warm and straighten and just get it ready for what I'm about to make. And when I take it away, I have another perfect loop. And when you're doing a piece where you have a lot of loops to make, it's very consistent. You know, your loops are always the same size. You can do it by hand too, but I like that tool. And then what you see here are just some black glass disc spacers that I had in my stash, and I just wanted 3 of them. And I'm going to feed one on, and then I'm going to put one of the little spacers that was in my box in between each one. And this is going to be the last little part of my pendant for my necklace. Isn't that beautiful? That is one of the loveliest things about making jewelry, is creating those cool shapes and patterns and designs with different bead shapes and colors. I could sit and play with beads for hours. Well, I do play with beads for hours. So, same thing. Just get my loop in there. Now, because of the shape of that bead, this loop didn't close all the way, but I actually need to open it anyway, so that's fine. I'm going to add it to the jump ring, and now I will close it really well and work hard in the loop. Just with a little bit of force, open and close. So that little pendant is ready. Isn't it pretty? Simple and lovely. And so I have taken the bead stringing wire that's in the box, and it's going to, I'm going to string right onto it. I didn't measure this either. I just kind of put it around my neck, knowing how long my pendant was going to be, and decided my length. So this part is up to you. And then you could clamp off on one end. This end is a little rough. You could clamp off on one end and string from both sides if you want to. And in fact, maybe I'll do that. I was going to go ahead and crimp one end. You can really do it either way. But I'm going to go ahead and put this right on my bead stringing wire because this will be the middle. And so then I can string my pattern from both sides. So that is already on. And then I am just going to use these beads that I have as seed beads and kind of mix in. I love to string with seed beads if I don't want a chunky piece of jewelry. So I just want to see how these are going to sit on each side. And that is just amazing how perfect that color is with the crackle beads in the box, and so pretty that it will appear up here. But if you were to string all 8 and 6 millimeter beads, you know, you get a heavier, chunkier piece. And I want to make this a little bit less chunky. So I am going to use these in my pattern, but I'm going to space them out quite a bit with the seed beads that I have here to lighten it up. And I also pulled all of these little rondelle faceted beads from my mix, and I'll play with also the bead caps and the spacers and just kind of come up with a pattern. And like I always say, this is the most fun. This is the most fun for me. And so when I get finished deciding on my pattern here, I am going to use the crimp beads that came in the box. There are several ways to crimp, but I decided to use the crimp beads that came in the box today for newer people, or I know that sometimes crimping is a challenging part of jewelry making. So on this project, I'm going to show you how to do a flat crimp, and then on my next project, I'll use my magical crimping plier, and then maybe in another video, I'll come back and do the fold over crimp method. So anyway, if you're newer to jewelry making, you'll see some of the different possibilities, and you can find, you know, which way works the best for you. So I am going to continue stringing my pattern, and I will come back and show you what I have come up with. So I am finished stringing, and you guys, look how many beads I have left over. That is one of the things that I love about seed beads. As I said, I wanted this to not be heavy and chunky, so using the seed beads to space out the 6, 8, or 10 millimeter beads just lightens up the piece. But also using seed beads like that, if you needed to get a dozen bracelets or several necklaces out of your box, this is the way to do it. So I'm going to show you my pattern really quickly. I've clamped off this side. I ended up not even using everything that I put out here because I did like an odd number, 5 gold seed beads and 3 of those amber ones, and then 5, and I alternated the marble glass with the onyx and just did the same pattern all the way up my necklace. So a little bit of my elements from my pendant are appearing in the body of my necklace. The black and the marble and the amber and the gold, and I loved mixing in this antique brass. I just think it looks so perfect with the colors. So I did finish my pattern with seed beads, and I'm going to show you how I plan to complete the back of my necklace. I am going to take one of these crimp beads and feed that on. It looks a lot like my little gold seed bead, so I hope you'll be able to see what I'm doing. It's just going to drop down on top of the gold seed bead, and then I'm going to string on enough of these gold seed beads to just make a loop. Now you can leave the bead stringing wire exposed if you want to, but I'm going to make a seed bead loop. So I'm going to count so that I can do the same thing on the other side. So I have 4, 5, 10. I'm going to go for 12. I only need a loop that's large enough for a jump ring to go through. Okay, so I have 12 right there, and I'm going to make a loop and put that wire back down through the crimp bead. And just give it a pull, and before I crimp I will check my well, the other end is not crimped yet, so on this end it's really easy, just crimp. But yeah, that's a really pretty loop, and just get my loop tight up to my crimp bead. And then on this type of a crimp, all you do is flatten the crimp. Just put your pliers in there and just flatten it. And you know, you want to make sure it's flat all the way, and just give it a tug and trim that little excess piece. And that side is crimped, and then I can just put my jump ring on and attach my lobster claw. And this necklace, I'm right-handed, so I generally put my lobster claw on the side that I'll be opening it with my right hand, but on this necklace it can go, it's the same on both sides, so it can go on either way. Okay, and now I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side, only on this side I do want to make sure, since this is all strung on one continuous link, I just want to make sure that I don't have gaps, or you know, that it's not a super rigid, tight necklace. What's the word for necklace? Okay, just going to do the exact same thing. And flatten that tube, and you just have to be careful not to break your seed beads when you're working with little gold seed beads. And trim away just like we did on the other side, and add another jump ring for the lobster claw clasp to clasp onto. And this beautiful piece is done, and I love it. It was super simple, but it is so elegant and interesting, and I love the pendant. I really love, you know, that movement, that swing in a piece of jewelry. It's so pretty. And it was super easy to make, and really just a fun stringing project with a tiny bit of wire working. I will put some pictures up at the end because I know I have a lot of things on my mat, but this is the little pattern. I'll give you an up close like I always do at the end. But this piece, I love it. I really love it. It's so beautiful, and I just love that simple pendant, but wonderful. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and clean up my mat a little bit for my next project. I am going to leave my gold seed beads out here because I'm going to want to use those. So let me just clean up. It'll just be a second for you. Okay, I am going to make a stunning piece of book jewelry. I'm a reader. This is one of my favorite things to make. And as much as I adore this gorgeous elephant, I mean, he is so wonderful. The detail in his eye, his ears, even his little feet have that little detail. I love him so much. But I just don't wear this type of thing very often as jewelry, but it is something that I'm a reader, that's something that hanging out of my book, I would really enjoy and get to see and, touch him. So I took my Soft Flex 18 gauge wire. It has an anti-tarnish coating, and I made some kind of heavy duty jump rings with it. And as I showed you, I'm using the red jasper color of the 49 strand Soft Flex beading wire and some Soft Flex number two crimp tubes. And on this piece, I'm going to do my magical crimping plier. And the reason I went up to a little bit sturdier, there are actually 49 strands of wire encased in this beautiful color outer coating, and then the heavier gauge jump rings, is because this elephant is big and he has a little bit of weight. And then this is going to be my drop on the other end of my book jewelry, and this gemstone bead is a bit heavy and I wanted a dramatic stack. So I just took that one step looper, the same that we did in the other project, and put a loop in the top of a piece of my Soft Flex 20 gauge wire. And I just created this little bead pattern. I pulled a few of these sort of raspberry, autumn berry beads from my stash because I wanted to add that into the black and gold from the box. And then I had an oversized wavy disc spacer in my stash, which I thought was pretty, with the little spacers that we got in this month's box, and that's going to be my drop. So I'm just going to do the same thing that we did in the other project and put another simple loop with my one step looper. I want those loops to be going in the same direction. It makes a nice fresh cut, and just pull my stack of beads down, and that little component is done. I am going to attach my other things with jump rings, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's closed, and with a little bit of force work harden those loops. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this little drop. It's going to hang from here. So I just took a decorative ball head pin from my stash and these little teardrop crystals that I had in my stash, and it just fits so beautifully there, and some little raspberry crystals. And I'm going to do the same thing to this head pin with the one step looper. And then I'm going to get some smaller jump rings. I use the Soft Flex wire to make my jump rings because then they have an anti-tarnish coating on them. And I make all different sizes and keep them in here so they're ready to go, and I don't have to brush my Permalac anti-tarnish coating on them because they are anti-tarnish. And so what I'm going to do to prepare this is just open this jump ring and connect these two drops just like that. I have an entire jewelry box, jewelry organizer that is just for my book jewelry. There's so many different ways to make book markers, and they make such wonderful gifts. And like when I start reading a new book, or if I get a new sketchbook, I will often go in that box and just choose a new bookmark. And so I'm just super excited. So this is going to be on one end, and this is going to be on the other end. And to get started, I am going to take out 2 of these number 2 crimp tubes. I am going to thread on about maybe 14 of these little seed beads. This is a beautiful little Miyuki seed bead. It's called Vineyard Mix. It had some black seed beads in here, and I just love these like autumn berries. And so that same 12-0 seed bead that I was stringing with on my other project, I left some of those out here to mix in because I just love this like flash of gold with the elephant and the things that came in the box. I want to make enough of a length here that this will be a nice sized loop to accommodate two 18 gauge jump rings, and so the loop looks nice with the scale of my elephant. So I'm going to do a couple more. That should be good. And I'm going to thread on a number 2 crimp tube and basically do the same thing that we did for the closure on the necklace. Just come back up. Whoops, wrong direction, dyslexic. Constantly having to do a double take on things with that situation running in the background. Okay, so I'm just going to make this little seed bead loop just like that. That will fit easily 2 of my 18 gauge jump rings, and I'm going to use my magical crimping plier. You could do a flat crimp here on book jewelry. Things don't get a lot of stress, but I love my magical crimping plier, so I'm just going to pinch all 4 corners of that little tube and then go in the opposite direction and close the tool again, and then just open and close the plier as I turn, and just keep the position of the crimp tube until it has formed a little bead. And then I'm going to do this little spacer. Let me see if I like the little spacer or another crystal. Let me just play for 1 second. No, that's pretty. And then the little teardrop. And then this little Tibetan spacer. Ah, that is so pretty. Oh, I love that. Okay, and now this is just simple stringing. I am just going to bead the length of my wire here, and I'm going to add my elephant to this side. I don't know if I might want to just repeat this same pattern on the other side for my other drop, because look how beautiful that is. So I'm just going to do a little bit of stringing. This should not take too long, and just mixing in these golds with this vineyard berry mix. And so this part will lay inside the book, so that's why I'm using really small seed beads for this. But I love to do book jewelry all different ways. Flat ribbon with ribbon ends on it. Satin cord is really pretty. Even the little metal bookmarks that are like hooks, I do them that way. This is so relaxing and so fun. One of my favorite things to do with my jewelry supplies and jewelry making tools is to make book jewelry. So I think everybody in my life has a bookmarker that I've made for them, and I keep a few little things in organza bags in my handbag, especially when I travel, in case a flight attendant or a waitress or somebody is really helpful and kind. Then I leave them a little something that I've made, and leave my card. So just something I do. I love to make these. So I'm just going to string like that until I get to the end of my strand. Okay, just a few minutes of stringing, and look how beautiful this is. And I've been looking at it. I did decide that I'm going to do a really simple loop for this end because I don't know, I just thought that was kind of taking away from my drop. So I'm at my length here, and I'm going to feed on this little crimp tube, and then I did 16 beads for this loop, and I want this one to be the same size. So I am going to count 16 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's my 16th one. And I'm going to make a loop and come back down through that crimp tube. I left myself a little short here, but I can do it. I'm patient. It's a little bit easier for leverage if you have a little bit more of a tail, but I think I can do it. Just use my pliers to help me pull that loop. And you know, on the bookmark, this can be a little bit rigid because this is the part that's going to lay in between the pages of the book. So I actually can pull this pretty tight, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing on this end. Just put my magical crimping plier. The only word of advice when you're magical crimping on small seed beads is just to make sure that the crimp tube is in the plier and you're not chomping down and breaking your seed beads, because then you'll have gaps in your stringing. But I did it. Opposite direction. So pretty. And then what I might do, and it is not necessary, but I was on a bead shopping trip with a friend, and I got these beautiful fluted crimp covers. And on this end of my bookmark, my crimp bead is hidden inside the spacer bead. But on this end, I think I might put one of these little decorative fluted crimp covers. You don't have to. The magical crimping plier makes a stunning little bead, but I just think this is pretty. It's decorative, you know, it's not really doing any purpose except just looking pretty. Let's see if I can even fit it over. It might be a little bit large for my seed beads, but let me try. I know I got it in there. You see, my little magical crimped bead is inside. I'm just going to gently close this cover so it tricks the eye. Looks like I've strung a beautiful gold bead on. Oh, that's lovely. So pretty. So my little bookmark is done. I have a little mess here, and I'm going to do double jump rings. It's not really that heavy, but I just think it looks amazing. So I'm going to get my 18 gauge jump rings open. So pretty. And now I'm going to do the second jump ring. Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Okay, and same thing on this side. Double jump ring through my loop. Oh, you know what? I did not make a large enough loop on my component here, so that's okay. It's an 18 gauge jump ring. I was really doing it for looks, but that's okay. I'm gonna just have a single jump ring on this end. So my bookmarker is done. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is so gorgeous. This is so beautiful. I mean, I just love having something pretty in my books. It's just beautiful. This is so exotic and elegant and just wonderful. I might have to read Out of Africa again or something so that I can put this book jewelry in my bookmarker. So I'm going to clean up my mat a little bit. I love the Potomac Beads website for seed beads, so I'll put a link in the description box to that, and also to anything else that I've used when I edit the video. I always spend a little bit of time on my description box. There's a discount code for Curated Bead Box. It was really wonderful this month, and I'll put pictures up at the end of the video with the projects that we did today. And I thank you all so much for watching. I hope everybody is safe and well and having fun on your beading mats, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, creative friends.